Hey kiddos, this week we are looking at adding and subtracting mixed numbers. Just some reminders when we're talking about mixed numbers, we're talking about a fraction and a friend. When we are working to make our fractions match so that we can add these, we only need to change the fraction. We are not going to touch the whole number. All right, and with that, let's get started. I'm going to do times 2 and times 2. That's going to give me 1 3/4 plus 8 and 2/4. 8 and 1 is 9/4. 3 plus 2 is 5. When my top number is bigger than my bottom, that means I can pull out a whole. So 9, 4 out of 4 means I'm pulling out a whole. 5 minus 4 gives me 1 more fourth. 9 plus 1 is 10 and 1/4. 8 and 5, I'm going to do neighbor numbers for this one. Keep my neighbor numbers the same. So remember with my neighbor numbers, I take the denominator from the one next to it and multiply it by both pieces. So this time I have 2 and 15 over 40 plus 7 and 24 over 40. 7 and 2 is 9. 40 is my denominator. 5 and 4 is 9. 2 and 1 is 3. 9 and 39 40ths. Coming down here, I'm going to do some neighbor numbers. I'm going to use my 5 and my 3. I'm going to rewrite. I have 9 and 5/15 plus 4 and 12/15. 9 plus 4 is 13. 15 is my denominator. 5 plus 12 is 17. 17 is greater than 15, which means that I can take out a whole. So I have 13. Taking out a whole, 15 over 15. When I take that out, I'm left with 2 over 15. 3 plus 1 is 14 and 2 over 15. Over here, I'm going to do some neighbor numbers. Times 3 times 3 times 10 times 10. 3 and 27 over 30 plus 1 and 20 over 30. 3 plus 1 is 4 over 30. 27 plus 20 is 47. I can take out a whole. So 4 and 30 over 30, which is 1 whole. That leaves me with 17 over 30. 4 plus 1 is 5 and 17 over 30. Coming down here to the last two. For these, I'm going to make them 18 times 3 times 3 times 2 times 2. 3 and 15 over 18 plus 2 and 16 over 18. 2 plus 3 is 5 over 18. 5 and 6 is 11. 31. I have over 1 whole, so I can take it out. So I have 5 and 18 over 18. When I subtract 18, I'm left with 13 over 18. 5 plus 1 is 6, and 13 over 18. If you are having trouble with these, please let me know. I'm happy to help in class. For this one, I'm going to make them both 12, 9, trying to get that out of my way. There we go. And 5 over 12 plus 8 and 2 over 12. 8 and 9 is 17. 5 and 2 is 7. 17 and 7/12. That's the end of page 1. If you have any questions, bring them with you to class. All right, popping down here. We're doing the same thing. We're just doing them up and down, okay? I'm going to start with some neighbor numbers. So I'm going to use my 3 and my 3 and my 7 and my 7. So I have 3 and 15 over 21 plus 2 and 7 over 21. 2 and 3 is 5. 15 and 17 is 22. This would be 5 and 21 over 21, which would be 6. and 1 over 21. All right, over here, I'm going to do some neighbor numbers. I have 7 and 4/12 plus 5 and 9/12. 7 plus 5 is 13. Oh, sorry, not 13, it's 12. 12, 12, 12. 12 is my bottom number. 9 plus 4 is 13. If I take out a whole, this would be 13 and 1/12. Coming down here, I'm going to do, let's do 18 times 3 times 3 times 2 times 2. 5 and 15 over 18, 6 and 4 over 18. Adding 5 and 6 is 11. 18 with 19. 11 plus 1 is 12 and 1/18. Let's do 12. 7 and 9 over 12 plus 1 and 2 over 12. 7 plus 1 is 8. 9 and 2 is 11 over 12. 8 and 11 over 12. Popping over here, let's make them both 10. So this would be 8 over 10. So 1 plus 5 is 6 over 10. 7 and 8 is 15. Did I get that? Yes, okay. 7 and 8 is 15. Sorry, I was second guessing my number. If I take out a whole, 6 and 10 over 10 plus 5 over 10, 6 and 1 is 7, and 5 over 10, or 7 and 1/2 if you simplified. Last one on this page, let's do 6 with our neighbor numbers. 5 and 3, 6, plus 5 and 4, 6. 5 and 5 is 10 over 6. 3 plus 4 is 7. We can pull out one whole. 10 plus 1 is 11. And 1/6. Any questions on this page? Bring them with you to class. All right, page 3. This time we are identifying the difference, so switch your brain into subtraction mode. Couple of reminders. Yes, we still need to have the same denominator, but when we subtract the fraction first, because if we cannot subtract our top number, our numerator, we need to borrow. And with that, let's get started. I'm going to make these both a 12, and I'm going to rewrite 10 and 9 over 12 minus 1 and 7 over 12. 9 minus 7 is 2. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 and 2/12, or 9 and 1/6 if you simplified. I'm going to make these both 9. 7 and 3 over 9 minus 4 and 5 over 9. 3 minus 5 I can't do, so I borrow. When I borrow, I get 9 more. This is now 12 over 9. 12 minus 5 is 7. 6 minus 4 is 2. 2 and 7/9. Over here, I'm going to make them both into 6. 3 and 1 over 6 minus 2 and 3 over 6. 1 minus 3 I can't do, I borrow. 3 becomes a 2. I get 6 more. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 minus 3 is 4. 2 minus 2 is 0. Our answer is 4/6, or 2/3 if we simplified. I'm going to make these both into an 8, because 8 is great. 6 and 3/8 minus 5 and 2/8 equals 3 minus 2 is 1. 6 minus 5 is 1. 1 and 1/8. I'm going to make these both 12 with neighbor numbers. 8 and 4 over 12 minus 7 and 9 over 12. 4 minus 9 I can't do, so I borrow, which means I get 12 more. This becomes 16 over 12. 16 minus 9 is 7. 7 minus 7 is 0. 7/12 is my answer. I'm going to make these both 10 using neighbor numbers. 11 and 8 over 10 minus 6 and 5 over 10. 8 minus 5 is 3. 11 minus 6 is 5. 5 and 3/10. That's the end of page 3. Any questions? Bring them with you to class. Still looking at the difference, this time looking at it as a vertical problem. I'm going to start by making these both 6. When I do that, my new fraction is 4 over 6. Starting with subtracting my fractions in case I need to borrow. 1 minus 4, I can't do that. 9 becomes 8. I get 6 more. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 minus 4 is 3. 8 minus 2 is 6. 6 and 3, 6, or simplified 6 1/2. I'm going to make these both a 9. So I now have 6 and 3 over 9 minus 3 and 8 over 9. Well, there we go. 3 minus 8, I can't do that. My 6 becomes a 5. I get 9 more. This becomes 12 over 9. 12 minus 8 is 4. 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 and 4/9. I'm going to use, let's do neighbor numbers. Times 5 times 5 times 9 times 9. I have 4 and 5 over 45 minus 2 and 27 over 45. When I borrow, this becomes 50. 45 plus 5 is 50. Let's do the math. I have 45 as my denominator. 50 minus 27 is 23. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 and 23 over 45. That one was a tricky one. Over here, I'm going to use 10. So this becomes 5 over 10. I can't do 5 over 10. I'm going to have to borrow. 6 becomes 5, and I get 10 more, 15. 15 minus 7 is 8. 5 minus 4 is 1. 1 and 8 over 10, if I simplified, 1 and 4/5. Coming down here, I'm going to use neighbor numbers. 7 and 7, 2 and 2. 7 and 10 over 14, minus 5 and 7 over 14. 14 is my denominator. 10 minus 7 is 3. 7 minus 5 is 2. 2 and 3/14. Last one on this page, I'm going to do times 2 so that I have 10 over 12. 12 is my denominator. 11 minus 10 is 1. 8 minus 7 is 1. 1 and 1/12. All right, kiddos, last page. We are looking at word problems. So these are stretchy. Let's start with our important information. Mrs. Young has 8 1/2 liters of soda before her party started. By the time it ended, she was only left with 3 4/5 liters of soda. How much soda did her guests drink? 8 1/2 minus 3 4/5. I'm going to make these both tenths with my neighbor numbers. When I do that, I have 8 and 5 over 10 minus 3 and 8 over 10. I borrow. I get 10 more. I have my tenths. 15 minus 8 is 7. 7 minus 3 is 4. 4 and 7/10. Look for our important facts. At a bake sale, Amy brought 5 2/3 pounds of fudge. Sean brought 8 1/2 pounds of hard candy, and Anna brought 3 8/9 pounds of fudge. How many pounds of fudge was brought to the bake sale? So this one was tricky because this is fudge and this is fudge. They're the only ones we needed to work with. The other one was just not important information used to try and trick you. I'm going to make these both 1/9. When I do that, now I have 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 3 is 9. I'm adding to see the total. So 6 and 8 is 14 over 9. 5 plus 3 is 8. When I take out my whole, I have 8, 9 over 9, and 5 over 9. 8 plus 1 is 9, and 5/9. Jake read 5 8/9 books during 7th grade. Then in 8th grade, he read 6 3/5 books. How many books did he read during his time at middle school? We have 5 8/9 plus 6 3/5. We're going to use some neighbor numbers. So times 5 times 5 times 9 times 9. Let's see if we have enough space here. 8 times 5 gives us 40 over 45 with our 5, plus 6 and 27 over 45. 5 plus 6 is 11 over 45. 40 plus 27 is 67. When I take out my whole, I'm left with 12 and 22 over 45. All right, nuggets, couple more. The deli weighed 5 6 ounces for Kelly's order. If 7 1/2 ounces was sandwich meat and the rest was cheese, how many ounces of cheese did she get? So we need to subtract 10 and 5/6 minus 7 1/2. We're going to times these by 3. When we do that, we have 10 and 5/6 minus 7 and 3/6. 10 minus 7 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. So it would be 3 2/6 or 3 1/3 if I simplified. 2 more, my friends. At the start of the lunch shift, a pizza shop had 5 11/12 pies. They sold 3 1/3 pizza pies. How much pizza do they have left over? Get rid of that. I'll edit that before you guys get this. 5 11/12 minus 3 1/3. I can make this 12ths by multiplying by 4. 5 11/12 minus 3 4/12 equals 11 minus 4 is 7/12. 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 and 7/12. Last one, for a fruit tray, Mr. Fletcher put out strawberries where 4 2/3 of a box was sliced and 3 4/5 of a box was quartered. How many strawberries did he use for his fruit tray? So he has 4 2/3 and 3 4/5. We need to see what he used in total. Let's start with our neighbor numbers. When I do that and I rewrite, let's just switch it out because I'm running out of room. 5 times 2 is 10. Our denominator for both of these is going to be 15. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 plus 3 is 7. 15 is my denominator. 10 plus 12 is 22. If I pull out one whole, that means I'm going to take off 15, which would leave us 8 and 7 out of 15. 8 and 7/15 is how much strawberries he used for his tray. Any questions? Bring them with you to class.